Hello and welcome everybody to Which Bitch Where We Talk the Real Tea. And today we have Terry on the show, which is amazing and super exciting. Another brand new guest that we've never had on before. So the way that we start this every single time with a brand new guest is to ask you, Terry, what your opening story is and kind of your journey through spirituality and how you got to where you are now. It's a big question, so take your time in answering.
It is.
Terry, we can't see
Uh,
you.
so you can't see me.
No.
Can you see me? Not at all.
Um,
It has gone blank.
Black.
Um, let's see. How's that?
That's better. It's come back for me.
Yeah.
Okay, we can see you now.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if it's my Wi-Fi. So, can you hear me? Is okay. I'm gonna just put it on my phone data instead
Yeah.
of the Wi-Fi. If
Yeah.
that would help. Okay. Just one minute.
Sometimes, yeah, technical difficulties do happen. Also, I'm in a very loud place. I'm thinking maybe to help in the connection for all of us, if I turn my camera off, it might help since I'm the host. It also might.
Yeah.
That's
Is
Is that any better?
okay?
Okay,
Okay.
I just put it on the side of the data to see if that will. So my Wi-Fi.
Here. Okay. Can you hear me and see me? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Terry, tell us your
Yeah. So, well, okay. Well, as a child, I was always connected, and I've had glimpses all my life. When I was in my 20s, I had a near-death experience where I had pneumonia, and that experience was only I just saw light beings coming towards me. And then I really never really, I thought that was the fever because I had a fever for for 9 days. But anyway, the big one, the big awakening, my soul stirred me. Um, it was my husband got cancer, and in 2005, well, we found out about it. And I went right into grief and anger and tried to control everything. Couldn't control anything. um, I spun myself into such back pain. It was debilitating for me. I just didn't know what to do with myself. The doctors said that, you can't do a surgery. You could end up to be, you could probably be a quad. And I said, well, there's no hope for me. I thought to myself, but I didn't really give up. I just felt like a victim, truly. I did. And knowing now that I was creating it all. So, long story short, at the end, I say at the end of it, which is my beginning, in 2014, my husband was still, he had stage 4 prostate cancer with metastasis for 14 and a half years. And yeah, God bless him. He's with me. So anyway, he transitioned in 2018. And but anyway, in 2014, I was I had been like I was in so much pain, mentally, physically, emotionally. I didn't think there was any help for me. It was a really rough time for my family. They didn't know what to do with me. And I've had to do a lot of forgiving and ask for forgiving for that because I've just had to let that, I've asked for forgiveness, and I've forgiven myself for me putting myself through and everybody else that. So at the end, in 2013, I was hospitalized because of medications, and along with the medications that they were giving me, I got prescriptions for everything, but still, there's pretty heavy duty meds. They said no more drinking alcohol, but we're going to give you morphine. So I stopped drinking. I didn't have any problems with that. But the morphine, I remember taking just one morphine pill, and that was after, it must have been in January of 2014. A lot of this is a blur to me. I don't know if it's myself protecting myself from everything, or it was just, that's my cat. It was just, it was a blur, pretty much. Can you see the cat? My birdie. So anyway,
Yes,
you can't see her. Okay. So in 2014, yeah. Birdie, she's my little healer. She never left my side when I was bedridden. See, it just progressed. So I wasn't even getting out of bed. And my husband didn't know what to do. Anyway, the day that things started to accelerate is I was so deconditioned that when I went to get out of my bed, I swear to this day, I was on my face on the floor. But my husband said I was wedged, and my sister-in-law was here too. They said I was wedged between the bureau and the bed. And I was, I would say actively, if you can say actively, dying. My body functions let go. My blood pressure, when the ambulance got here, David said, call the ambulance. They called the ambulance. My blood pressure was 50 over 30 and dropping. But I remember, it's sketchy, but I remember a lot of that time. I think because I thought I was on my face, I was watching it. I know I was watching it too, but I was interacting with the ambulance attendants too. But I remember being like on the roof part and looking, I could see myself and I could see them. And I was telling them that I was so embarrassed. They says, do not be embarrassed. And then I was kind of in and out of consciousness. When I got to the hospital, anyway, you don't need to know all those details. Probably it's too long, but they put a central line. I had IVs everywhere. They were just loading me with Narcan to try to save my life. And they were giving me medications. Can you see her? She's so funny. So anyway, they were giving me medications to help keep my blood, raise my blood pressure and everything. Come on, Brett, you'll be a good girl. So anyway, the next day, my husband told me, he says, Terry, they didn't know if you were going to make it or not. And I was I think the experience lasted me for a long time. I was in and out of my body. But the actual moment that I had the experience, because I kept asking David, how long was I on my stomach? And he says, Terry, you were never on your stomach. And I said, well, yes, because they brought me to another room to put the central line in my neck, didn't they? And he said, yeah, they did. And I said, well, when
They did.
I was watching all that. And I said, when they put the central line in, I told him later, as I was remembering more and more things too. And I was told in my experience, as you raise in your frequency, you will remember more and more and more. So what happened was when they put the central line in, my respiration stopped momentarily. And I was watching this, but when they bagged me, I whoosh, right up out of my body, and I was out of there. And I heard the whoosh, I felt the whoosh, and then I was amongst. I didn't see any tunnel. I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I was amongst light beings. And all I could see were beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yes. What's that?
Let me about what you're saying.
Yes.
You were floating
Yes.
in around the ceiling, watching what was going on.
Yeah.
And then when they put the
Yes.
central line in, you were sucked out of the room.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Like I heard the whoosh. It was an audible whoosh, and I felt it. I felt the energy of me.
Right.
And I was amongst light beings as far as I could see. I'm getting chills right now. And it was just such a love. And I looked down at myself, and I was all prisms of light, but I was me. Some of this just doesn't make sense to a human mind, but I was prisms of light, but yet I was myself. And there were several different things that happened during the experience. At one point, and people have asked me, well, who are the light beings? And I do believe a lot of them were me, if that makes sense. And at one point, and I was, at one point, I was in what I know now from checking in and realizing is like a healing chamber. And there were colors, and there was frequency, and the sorry.
You're right.
Sorry. Are you there? Yeah. The sound that I remember. Okay, good. The sound that I remember the most, I mean, there were sounds, but you know, when someone has a big gong, they're doing like gong healing, and they take and rub that sound, and it resonates through all of your being. That I heard a lot. And then there were colors, there were lights, there were beings, and every color and every sound had a consciousness.
Wow.
And it was just unbelievable. Everything was conscious, everything. I was. And then another point I remember is I remember seeing, I can't tell you what type of space I was in, but I was in some type of space. And I remember I felt like I was laying, and I saw aspects of myself leaving me. And then, like a brilliant light, is all I can describe it, and other aspects of me like walking in. And I have asked too, I've checked in, and I said, am I a walk-in? And no, they were me. It was me. I think my soul was upgrading myself, to tell you the truth. It was time to wake up, and it was the biggest gift. And after that, I was in like an ICU for a while, and then because I was so debilitated that I had to go to the rehab at the hospital because I couldn't even walk anymore. I couldn't take one step. And then from there, they said, well, you can't go home because you can't walk. So I went to a rehab in the next town over. And I believe the whole time that I was in the hospital and in that rehab at the hospital, and until a moment in the rehab when things changed drastically, I was in and out of my experience. I was in and out, in and out. I was still having, I told my daughter about a beautiful, tall being with big, beautiful white robe. And I don't remember that part, but she said, I said, why didn't you ask me more about it? And she says, you were so fragile, Mom. We were afraid to ask you anything, really. And, but anyway, I mean, there were robed beings, there were light beings, it was just the colors, the love, everything was just so tremendous that words can't express. So I still was in and out, like I said, and at the rehab, I mean, I was crying and I was depressed and really not being involved in my care. And one day the activities director came in, and I say, they are earth angels for sure. she said to me, she says, Terry, may I say a prayer with you? And I says, yes. And she took my hands, and the woman in the bed next to me, there was two of us in the room. She says, you want me to close the curtain? I says, no. So she kept it open. And when the minute that woman took my hands, I felt like I was being electrocuted. I don't know
Wow.
if I just felt electricity through my whole being. It was almost like, I don't know what she said for words, but what she said for words were like source was speaking through her and directly to my soul. And
Wow.
I believe that's when my soul fully integrated back into my physical body. Because after that prayer, I looked at it was, I don't even know what she said, but it was just beautiful. I know that. I know the feeling of it. And after that, I looked at the woman next to me, and her face was soaked. She says, I've never heard such a beautiful prayer in my life. And it was like everything changed, but I felt like I was electrified, truly electrified. I could feel every cell in my body. And it wasn't a scary feeling. It was like a holy, what's happening here? But that's, I believe, when I fully returned. And then from that day, I had another earth angel in the physician's assistant that was taking care of me. And she says, would you consider getting off all narcotics? And I said, I will. But while I was in the rehab, my husband fell and broke his hip and femur, and he was in the hospital. So I said, I can't leave unless and go home alone. In case I have, a withdrawal or something. Well, she got my insurance company to agree to stay. I stayed for a couple more days. I never had one withdrawal, nothing. After that prayer, I started, I think the very next day or that afternoon, I started to walk with a walker. And then I was walking without a walker. I was able to, this was like within hours of that. And then within the next few days, she approached me, and I had been walking. I had been doing exercises. I had been participating in my care. I was able to shower myself. That was a big deal. And then I went off, all medication. There was one I had to wean off. It took a month to wean off that stuff. I didn't even know I was on it, to tell you the truth. I didn't. So, and then ever since then, that was in 2014. That was in March. So I don't know. There was like lost time for me from January, February. I think February and into March is when when that happened. And then after that, I came home, and I was clear. I was able to take care of my house. I was able to take care of my pets. When my husband came home, because he was at the hospital at the time, he had had surgery, and then he had to go to rehab, the same place I was at, to do exercises, so he would be able to walk with a walker and things. He had a rod put in his hip and femur, pins and things. And when he came home, I was able to take care of him, from being totally debilitated to being able to take care of myself and my husband. And then by that July of 2014, my sister and my soul sister, Kathy, she's my real sister too. I just was led to different things. We did a week-long, it was called Spiritual Treasures, and we did psychic development, mediumship. It was just amazing. And the whole week was just so high vibration. And then I sat in circles and did developing, with a group that I used to be in. And it was just wonderful. And then I was led, it's just like the stepping stones lit up for me after all of that. The mediumship and the just developing clairs. And then I was led to do a channeling class. And I did that, and it was amazing. And that's when the light language started to come in. And then after that, I was led to Dolores Cannon's work, and my sister and I both, and I took the QHHT course, and then in 2017, and then in 2018, I took the Beyond Quantum Healing course. And I mean, I started doing QHHT sessions in, I think it was September or October of 2017. And
May I ask, Terry, what a QHS session is? I've never heard of that before.
it's quantum healing hypnosis technique. Dolores Cannon, who developed that technique, it was like past life regression, but not everybody goes into a past life. It's amazing, amazing healing modality. What it does is it empowers the person to their own magnificence. I am not doing anything. That's what all these steps were for me. As I just knew that we are magnificent beings. We are magnificent beings, and that's why readings and things never resonated with me. They're okay, you know, and I've had readings before and things like that. But I feel like if we can have someone ask themselves in a hypnotic state, I can ask the questions for the person. It's amazing. We connect with the higher self, or I say higher self, it's us. It's us. And I believe in these times, these beautiful times now. That's why I didn't leave in 2014, because I came for this. I came for all of this, and it's time. And I'm just so grateful to be able to connect people to the part of them that knows. We have everything within us. We truly do. It's not just a saying, but a lot of the times we've just been so programmed, and it just when we like doing the hypnosis part, that gets the ego and the conscious mind out of the way, and we're able to connect to the part of the person that knows everything. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I've had a lot of people that have gone into past lives, and then the reason is because most times it's because they've brought something into this lifetime that needs clearing and healing. But then a lot of people, the last few sessions were in this lifetime, because this lifetime, I believe, is very important. We are, I believe it's time we're integrating into our higher aspects are integrating into us now. And it's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I think so much we explain about ourselves if we delve into that side of our past and choose to accept, believe in it, because there's so many. For me personally, I know for me, like I have so many little things that I came into this world with, you know, fears that just didn't make any sense, and things that were trapped in my body that I knew, and just like there was some kind of reason behind, and yeah, I don't know, it's just a beautiful explore of ourselves, create deeper healing as well. And one question I actually wanted to ask you as you were telling your story, Terry, was like, do you think that somehow through your near-death experience, somehow through, you know, literally, you know, leaving this earth plane in some way, it allowed you to gain communication or access higher dimensions, like the light people that you were talking about? Do you think it was this experience? If it wasn't for this experience, do you think you would be able to see them or contact or be in touch with them in any way?
Well, I believe so, but that put me on the fast track, because I was told, the more you remember this experience, the more you raise your frequency and all, and the path was lighting up for me. I do believe, I know that when I was little, I'd see spirit, and when I was a little girl, I used to play out back in the field, and there was a clearing with beautiful buttercups, and I would interact with fairies, real fairies, and my star being came in. I remembered since the experience. I remember my beautiful star being coming into that circle. I had completely forgotten about that, but I always remembered the fairies, and but I think that that truly did. I heard that you're on the fast track. Uh, when I started doing the developing and things, I could feel you're on the fast track now. And then when I did the QHHT training, immediately I heard you're on the hold on because you're on the superhighway now. And yeah, the sessions are amazing. I do the BQH online, and the technique is beautiful. You do it, and these sessions are hours long, because you talk to the person, they tell you about their life, which is there's so much healing in that part. I have them write questions they want to ask. Where in that for me to ask them, to get the answers that they want to get. Um, and then there's the actual hypnosis, which I record that part and give that to the person, because I've seen amazing, amazing things happen. And, that's how powerful we are. We can uncreate something as quick as we can create it. We can heal, but and that's why I believe, like with our core beliefs, check in with your core beliefs. Are they your beliefs, or are they program that you've had for years and other lifetimes even? Because we are powerful. We can heal. We create everything. I created myself. And looking back, I was not a victim, but I thought I was. I didn't have the resources in myself to know that I was creating, I didn't create my husband's cancer, but I was creating all of my, and like I said, words are spells too. When that doctor told me, we cannot do anything for you because you would more than likely be a quad, then I took that as, well, there's no hope for me. And in that state of mind that I was in, I just, that just fueled the fire. But looking back, I know we create our own reality. We truly do. And that's why I say when we heal ourselves, I believe we truly heal everybody on some level. I truly believe that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So powerful.
mm,
I know when you're talking about fairies, I love that because I grew up with my dad telling me stories of him seeing like little people, he would call them. And,
yes.
my dad is one for stories, but I remember as a kid knowing that when he would tell these stories, it was the truth. And I even asked him now, like, were you just telling those stories, or did it really happen? And he still remains to this day saying, like, yeah, I really did see them. I really did see these little people.
Yes.
So I think they're real.
I've seen a little person once. My first husband was Native American, and in the house I saw a little man run through, and it was like, and then I saw my ex-husband. I saw his grandmother standing. She had passed in that house, and I was putting my makeup on, and I saw her standing behind me in front of the stove in the next room. And I've seen, I think there's nothing special about me, but I do believe that we do see these things. And I know that I was interacting with the fairies. I would go in the house. Our great grandmother lived with us, and I went up to her and I said, I was all excited. And I says, Nana, I've been out in the field playing with the fairies. And she says, I believe you, Terry Jean. She says, just don't tell anybody. She was very psychic, but she was so very religious too. She'd say her rosary in the morning and rosary in the afternoon, but she could read a deck of cards just like tarot cards. She could read tea leaves. She was she and her twin sister, they saw their father in physical form and they knew that he had just passed. And they went into town and he had just passed, but they saw him coming to the camp that they were at. And and my sister, I was telling you about her, she painted me a beautiful watercolor of the buttercups and the fairies. I just love it. Yeah, but I was told, we're shut down, I think, a lot when we're kids, or my generation was anyway, because Nana, she validated me, but she didn't want me to tell, because it was considered crazy. Yeah. And I did see that little. Yes, she was. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been a journey. I'll tell you that. Yeah. And then since my husband passed, yeah.
I ask, this since all of and you experience
in the spirit realm,
and your consciousness was
Mhm.
like you said, you saw yourself, you looked at yourself, and you were prisoned.
you're also yourself.
Yes.
All the like hundreds of them all felt like they were
Aspects of you.
A lot of them. Yes. Yeah.
Do you,
so or feeling
the way you experienced it, and then you came the 3D reality of life, and
Mm-hmm.
do you
experiences
showing in some way, because the way
is that
those
light beings
were,
and others,
there were others there and aspects of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so
If that's the case,
then
we're all connected, like those light beings are all fragments, fractals.
Yes. Yes.
And do you
Yes.
see that now
I do.
in the 3D world?
I do. I do. We are truly all connected. We all are from the source. We're all from the same source, God, whatever you want to call. I believe we are all divine sparks of that one source. And that's why I don't resonate with religions any longer. I think they're wonderful for whatever anybody wants to, but I know we continue for myself. And like I tell people, if these are my truths, and then my truths can change too, especially in these times. I think we can believe something in the morning, and in the afternoon it's like we don't believe it anymore. It's a time of expansion and change, and but I do believe we're all connected. That's why it's the big message I'm getting lately is that when we heal ourselves and we forgive ourselves and we do whatever we need to do for ourselves, and I'm not saying that in a special selfish way, because when I know when I'm better, everybody around me is better. And it shows. It shows when. That's why I say when one person heals, we're so powerful that we do affect the collective. I know we do, and we're not just connected to the people on Earth. We're connected to. There's so much more.
I resonate so deep with what you're saying, because I see in the world so often like this depth, no, this, yeah, depth and despair. I think that's the right phrase that I'm using there. And about like this loss of hope and this needing to be better as a human race, and like, you know, that, you know, darkness around and negativity around you know, each other, and like, oh, some people don't want to have kids because of this world, and some people don't want to because of their perception of this world, I should say, and some people just have kind of at a stage of giving up. Like, I hear so much in my generation, like this theme of, oh well, the world's going to end anyway, so it doesn't even matter, and like that sort of mindset. And what you're saying, Terry, is so important, because it's when we work on ourselves, when we flip the focus from, oh, everything out here is horrible, let me just do whatever because it doesn't even matter, to then let me limit myself because it doesn't even matter, and then, you know, then flipping it inwards, and like what you're saying is turning that around and taking a perspective more of let's heal and let's make this better, and let's change the focus, and let's make this world better. And I think that's actually kind of around why I titled this episode the way that I did, which was around accepting the darkness, because when you accept the darkness, it's not so horrible anymore. Like, it's not so like scary or hopeless. And we do really need to start healing ourselves, and that's all we have to do, because then it just like carries over automatically, and then we're all just like helping each other by healing ourselves and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really love this topic, because it's like huge in the spiritual community and in just everyday life as well.
Yeah. And the thing is that it took me a while, because being an empath all my life, you want to fix things. You want someone, you don't want someone suffering. If I saw someone suffering, I could jump right into their suffering, suffer right along with them. And I tried to fix things, you know, and the only thing that I can fix is myself. I've realized that I do not have the capability of thinking someone else's thoughts. I mean, we have telepathy, and we can, you know, I know we can tune into something, but we don't think the thoughts. We're not living that life, that soul's choice. I believe we come into the earth plane, excuse me, to have an individualized experience. Even though when we're on the other side, we know that we're all connected, we're all one, but we come into an individual focus. And when you use the word focus, we are in this focus right now. Even though everything is happening all at once, that's another thing too that's it was hard for me to kind of wrap my mind in around, is that everything is now. Everything is now. And I believe, I remember some past lives that I've had, and I believe that I can send strength to those lives, and those lives can send strength to me in this now. That's how powerful we are. And letting go of trying to fix everybody. You can't fix what I've come to realize. I can't fix anybody. I can love someone. And I in a lot of the stuff that's coming out into the public, and a lot of the not so nice things that we're learning, the veils have dropped, and we're seeing all this stuff that's probably been here, you know, for thousands of years. But I can't change it. But yeah, I can alchemize it, I believe, through love. By loving a person that's acting out and doing terribly horrific things, I can love them, It doesn't mean I approve of what they've done, or it's not even up to me to approve. I don't have to consent to what they've done. And I don't have to give my consent unconsciously, I've realized, to a lot of the stuff that's hiding in plain sight also. I will say I do not consent to this, because I think we've kind of been duped in certain ways to give our consent. Wink, wink. All this is hiding in plain sight. But no, I think no one else's thoughts, and I'm not having their life plan. And I do think that we have like a blueprint before we come in and what we want to experience. And I feel that I've played the dark in other lifetimes. I think I've played magnificent lives. I've had magnificent lives. I believe that we've been everything. I had one woman in a session, we couldn't move her through that, and come to find out she was a mountain. Her consciousness was a mountain in part of that, in that part of the session. And I've had one person, I says, "Where are you?" when, after we did the induction. And she says, I'm flying. And I asked her to look down at her feet. She says, "I don't have feet, I have talons. I'm a sea eagle." I went, good. So I moved her through that. And the reason why her higher self showed her that lifetime, I'm getting off topic, I think, but anyway, was they wanted her to experience that feeling of flying and the freedom. So there's just some, it's just amazing. We've been everything. So I feel like I've been just about everything, and I've been in other systems too, universes and other lifetimes as other beings. And so who am I to really judge anything? I think that when I'm judging something, I am no better than what I'm judging. If that doesn't even sound right, but you know what I mean? I'm just giving it more energy. Yeah, and our energy is a big thing too. Excuse me. It's cold here in Maine. We're going to be 22 below.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so it is cold.
Yeah, it is chilly, but anyway, yeah, it's just, yeah.
So
I lost my train of thought there.
I resonate because about how we've experienced everything we are, everything is one, like how you, Mum, were asking before about the light, and if we're all just fragments of each other. And it's so true. And to bring it back to what I was mentioning before about this hopelessness, like it's so easy for us, and I do it too, like, and just as a collective, as a race, to complain and to say, oh, this world is so horrible, this world is so dark, this world is going to hurt you. Or even when people say humans, actually, little side note, like side story, I've had many deep conversations with many different types of people, and most of the time when it comes to talking about humanity, there's this theme of like, oh, I've lost faith in humanity, or like, yeah, I have no faith in humanity left, or humans are so crap. And I say, no, actually, I do have faith in humanity. I believe that we are going to come out of this stronger, and we'll have learnt so much, and like I have this really positive attitude about it. And people will seriously laugh at me, like they genuinely will laugh at me, and say things like, oh, enjoy that perception, like, you're young, you're like,
to me that's programming.
Yeah, it's so deep. But I heard this quote, and what you're saying, which is why I did the side story, because it comes back to what we're talking about. I heard this quote, and it's so profound and so powerful, and it's got to do with the fragments of we're all connected, and I do believe in that humanity is good, because I am good and I'm humanity, so therefore humanity is good. I know I'm good, so humanity is good. And it's so true, because when we take ourselves, we've put the focus on ourselves in a way that isn't self-absorption or not in an egoic sense, but in a let's widen the perception sort of.
Yeah.
Let's widen our perception by narrowing our perception towards ourselves and just focusing on that, because we're our own universe. We all have the universe within us and we're all connected. But if you just, instead of having this focus on everyone else is horrible, this world is horrible, humans are horrible, and instead turn that and place the focus on yourself, then we would be in I think the world would, if we did that just today, tomorrow would be a different world entirely.
Exactly.
And
And the thing is, I think most people are good. I really do.
yeah,
Most people are, the people that I encounter, I smile, they smile back. If I run into someone that's got a lot of contrast, or then I say, why did I create that for myself? What that experience? What in me attracted that? I believe I have so much hope for the human race. It's not just hope. I know we came here for this. And can you see my cat? She's got her paw on my arm. She's anyway. We came here for this, and people are good. I believe people are good. We have just been so programmed to, just for instance, I go to the store and I get a little scratch off ticket. Okay. Well, the person in front of me got one, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to get that scratch off ticket. It's lottery." And I never win. And I said one day, I said, "Well, you never will, because you're creating a space where, we really, what we believe, we receive." I'm not saying that he's going to lose every time, but that's just, and I've heard people say that, "Oh, I never win anything." And I think that we've been mistaken by empowering ourselves versus being egoic, the ego part of it. A lot of people think, I believe, that by loving yourself, honoring yourself, that's ego, and it's not. It's the total opposite of ego. That's where the ego just drops, and that's the most important thing, is for us to love and honor ourselves and live our best life. And I've always treated people the way I've wanted to be treated. I don't care who they are, or whatever. And I think a lot of people, I have a lot of hope for humanity. I really do. The people that I encounter are good people. And the ones that are having problems, I've been drawn lately to watch. There's a program called White Underbelly. There's a gentleman that he interviews all kinds of people. And it's, like from Skid Row drug addicts, prostitutes, to policemen, to professors, to students, to all kinds of male strippers. He had one on the other day. All kinds of different people on this planet, and you hear their stories, and it's just giving me more of a perspective. I'm compassionate, and I have a lot of compassion for people already, but it makes me even more compassionate. And to think that we choose a lot of these we choose these experience. I believe, I really do. And I've heard, well, why would someone choose to come in and be child, uh, uh, have child abuse and in terrible ways? I really don't know, but I believe we're eternal. So why not experience everything?
Yeah.
And in sessions, I've had one that had a tragic life, to the point where I was almost crying, asking questions, in that session. And then when that life was over, we went to the last day, and then I said, "Why did you show her that life? And why did she choose that life?" And the higher self, soul, whatever, said because she wanted to know suffering. And I said, well, she certainly did in that lifetime. And then there was some healing that had to be done around. She brought some of the suffering into this lifetime. So that had to be healed and cleared through her and her higher self. And, and it's just, we're eternal. So why wouldn't we, want to try everything? And we do continue. That's the thing. We do continue. My mother gave my husband one of the greatest gifts. We were at the hospital when she was transitioning, and my husband was home, and he was on no medications but like Tylenol. He'd take Tylenol at that point. He was home, but he was kind of weak, so he didn't come to the hospital with me. My mother transitioned at 2:22 in the afternoon, and when I came home, David told me, he says, you're not going to believe this, Terry. And then he says, well, yeah, you are going to believe this, because we had a lot of wonderful talks. And he knew he was going to continue. He never called it dying. He called it transitioning. I'm going to transition. My mother, he said he was watching the television, and above the television, there's a blank spot, the wall. And he said, he looked at the clock, because you can see the clock from where he was sitting. And he said at 2:15 around, he says, I looked at the clock, there was a hologram that appeared above the television, and my mother was in it. And he said, Terry, she looked beautiful. And I said, what did she say? Did she say anything? And he even described what she looked like. He said, my mother was 90 years old, but he said she was beautiful and radiant. And he said, I could see her from like here up. She had a navy blue top on with a white lace collar. And I said, what did she say? And she said, take care of my baby. And then it dissipated. And I went, oh my gosh. And she gave him the gift to his own eyes, because he was not on any medications that would cause him to, and David was very, and he told people about that too. And I says, what a gift. And then after David did transition, he asked me, he says, will you continue doing sessions, please? Because I see such a difference. And I did a few sessions on him. My sister did too. And there was a lot of emotional things that were healed through that. But anyway, one of the girls I sat in circle with, she says, Terry, are you doing sessions? And this was like a month after David transitioned. And I said, well, yeah, I guess I could. And she says, David won't leave me alone. So, and I heard David the very next day after he transitioned. He told me, he comes in my right side real quick, and he says, I am a magnificent being. You were right all along. And I went, oh, wow. And then I did that session with that woman that said he wouldn't leave her alone. She had never met him, but she said he was, and then the second one I did, it was a little over a month after he transitioned. And at the end of her session, when I asked the higher self, are we complete? They asked me if I was complete. It's a client talking, but anyway, they brought David through. David came through, and I was able to talk to him through that client for 15 minutes, and I had it recorded. And it was amazing. It's amazing. I told him, I says, I hear you very clearly, don't I? And he says, yes, you do. And just it's amazing things that he's when we're open to things, I believe that we have the ability. Everybody does. It's nothing special. We have these abilities. We just need to love ourselves enough to allow them to develop, or not develop, just come out. Just amazing, amazing things. We're not alone. We're never alone. Even though there's times that I've felt alone, and I've isolated a lot and done a lot of, work, and it's just continuing. We're expand. I think we expand, and I think we contract,
Yeah.
This year was 5 years that he had transitioned, and I grieved, even though I knew he was with me. I could, he sent me, dropped me a penny and everything that day. I'm human, my humanness, but they're always there. On that love thread, we are always connected, I believe.
I love
So,
Really
lovely.
because my dad passed in
2000 and
yeah.
I feel him around me. He passed,
Yes.
I felt him very, and my husband feels him. He can feel when he's close
Yes. Yes. Yes.
by. So
Yeah.
It's a vibration. It's like, I know that's
Hmm.
in me.
Yeah.
When I
You
feel
can, yes.
him.
yeah.
Yes. And I think that's it right there, feeling. My experience was more feeling than anything else.
Yeah.
Everything was the feeling. I felt and I knew that everything was consciousness, everything, every shade of every color,
Yeah.
every tone, vibration, frequency was a consciousness. Everything was alive. It was consciousness. And it's just, yeah. And I'm not saying that every day I'm up, every time I talk about things like this, I elevate. It just makes my soul sing. It really does.
Yeah.
And
That's the,
Yeah.
I think sharing.
and that resonates in us,
Right.
vibration as well.
I think so. I think I'll tell you with Sology, Todd Medina, I think you've been on with Todd.
Yes.
And that was when he first started coming online by himself. I think it was when I first saw him, like 2014, my soul connected. And I told David, I said, there's something about him, David. He was doing raps and he was doing these different things. And I said, there's something about him. I know him. And it was like, anyway, that the whole development of all of that, it is that platform. And I think all these platforms are energy, and they are connecting us. Our souls are finding each other. I just had one woman connect to me. She called me last summer about having a session, and then she reconnected with me, and now we're having these amazing conversations that just touch my heart and just raise my frequency, and she raises hers too. It's like we're finding each other. We're finding each other. And like I told Todd, I says, that platform of Synergy was my lifeline. I can't tell you how many times. I think that we can assist each other knowing we're never alone. You're never alone.
Yeah.
And if there was ever anything that I could do to assist anyone, to realize that, even though I've had times where I felt like I was alone, even though I know better. Bless you.
Yeah,
But
because
I just
get rid of that feeling. Like if you're feeling alone, even though you
Feeling is there.
right.
you can't deny.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we can't deny anything. Feel everything. That's the thing. Feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't hold these things. They get stuck in our bodies. They make us sick when we try to squash things. Feel it. Find out where it comes from. And like the dark nights of the soul I've been through, I don't know how many. And, it's just, we come into these bodies to have an individual focus, feeling, even though part of us, not all of us is in these bodies. But as we're multidimensional, I believe we're multidimensional beings, and we're several places, but we have our focus here.
Yeah.
And just feel it all, and love yourself through it.
Yeah.
Love yourself. Yeah, because that's what we are.
Terry.
We are love.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for
Thank
agreeing
you.
to come on today. We're at an
Yeah.
hour. So
I thank you both so much.
Yeah. Do you feel complete now with today's chat?
I do. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you feel
And I thank
complete,
you both.
Juliet?
I feel complete, yes.
Thank you, Terry, for coming on. We've loved talking to you and hearing about your experience. And for me personally, it gives me such hope, and it gives me like knowing that that you saw those light beings, because I've actually seen light beings also in a meditation, exactly
Yeah.
the way you described it. So everything that
Wonderful.
you've said resonates deeply for me.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
and it's such a hopeful thing. I feel like I'm very fascinated by near-death experience stories, and
Yeah.
ever since my dad passed away, I've I listen to them, and I'm very
Hmm.
interested in them.
Yeah. Do you
And
talk to him still?
I do, not the
Good.
way I was, not the
Right.
same, but I
Yeah.
definitely do inside. Like, I have conversations with him inside, and
Yes.
I reach
Yeah.
out to him
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
spirit sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I definitely need to do more of that, because
They're on that love thread. The minute, I mean, we're not just spirits hanging around. We're busy. We're busy,
yeah,
busy, you know.
yeah,
But
that's right.
we are always available on that love thread. That love never dies. It grows,
Yeah, yeah,
and
and
I know
there's
that.
certainly a lot of
I
love there that I feel for my dad. Yeah.
Yes, and it grows. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Done.
Thanks for
And
Thank
tuning
you.
in.
thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Super, super grateful to have you on, Terry.
Thank you. Much love to both. Thank
Much
you all.
love. All right.
Bye,
Everybody.
everybody. Mwah.
Yeah.